Hey guys, welcome back to Spilling the Reality with Trisha and Kiley on the Hantz show, where we have all of the latest happenings in the Big Brother house. Where we will be talking today about the live feeds. Power Veto ceremony happened yesterday. We have another wall yeller, and we'll talk more about the Ian vote because it is still stirring up trouble in the Big Brother house. So, looking forward to diving in. Don't forget to drop us a comment as we go through the episode, and we'll be sure to touch on that if you have any questions, comments, concerns. And if you are not watching with us live, don't forget to subscribe, thumbs up, drop us a comment on your thoughts on today's episode. All right, Kylie. So, yesterday we left off with the Power Veto ceremony happening.
Yeah, so as expected, Tyler did not use the power of veto. Womp womp womp. So the nomination stayed the
Shocker.
same. I know, it's so surprising. And so the veto will not be used, and either DaVonne or Kevin is going to be leaving the house on Thursday. So,
Bummer.
bummer. It sucks.
Yeah, but we did also, from this Power Veto ceremony, can't wait to watch the episode because apparently DaVonne called people out and after
Yes.
after the ceremony happened, um, or maybe even before, but at some point
I
during
think
the
it was
ceremony while
I
the
think
feeds
during her speech.
yeah, she was calling these people out. So, and this included David. So, we can tell that the salt is still there from the vote last week. So,
Yeah.
we'll
I'll
get
be
into that.
interested to see if CBS actually shows it because they now mostly skip the speeches at the veto ceremony. All we get is, I have the power veto. I can, you know,
Veto one
veto
of
one of
your
the nominations.
nominations.
I have decided not to use the power veto. And we don't even see the speeches anymore, even though they still give them. So, hopefully, since this one is kind of drama filled, they will give it to us. Um,
Surely. I mean, there's a
yeah,
whole
but
storyline here with the David vote. And
yeah, and I mean, she doesn't just call out David; she calls out several people because a comment's even made later about how look who she didn't call out. She didn't call out Danny. She didn't call out Nicole. She didn't call out Tyler, I don't think, because he wasn't involved in the vote. So, she called out Cody and Memphis
Memphis.
and Christmas. So, it's definitely got people thinking, once again, Danny and Nicole are in tight with her. So,
Yeah, things just
she
aren't
stirred
looking
it
good. So
up.
I really do hope they show it because there's been a lot of talk in the House about this speech, and
Yeah.
they're using it as ammo in some ways. So I do really hope that they show this on the episode. CBS,
Same
if you're
these.
watching, we recommend that you show this on the episode.
Give us the drama. That's what we're here for.
We did get another wall yeller yesterday. Just when we think we're doing good, CBS has beefed up their security and there's no more wall yellers.
Yeah, no,
Nope.
that
Mm-mm.
lasted about 3 days. We're not exactly sure what this wall yeller said, and surprisingly, they only shut the backyard down for like 30 minutes. So, if you were the wall yeller, then you did not do your job because they didn't take you seriously, and they just opened
Yep.
it right back up.
They either
So,
found you very quickly. Like we've seen some wall yellers, they like go on Instagram live while they're yelling.
yeah,
Um, and so maybe this person, I didn't find their Instagram live.
yeah,
But maybe this person got caught pretty quickly and they're like, all right, like we know who it was. We nipped that. Y'all can go back
yeah,
outside. But in this 30 minutes that they were inside, the house guests were pissed. They were so pissed
yeah.
about being put back in the house. They were like, we just want to go outside. Because they only get a few
But
days outside. So,
yeah, no, I can definitely understand why they want to go outside, but I can also understand why the wall yellers are trying to get them to do something. So,
yeah. I hope that the wall yeller was yelling, DaVonne! Nicole was the vote for Ian!
Yeah, that's a whole mess there.
That's a whole segment that we'll get to.
Yeah. Uncle John says 3 wall yellers this year. Laugh out loud, maybe more. I think we are up to like at least
We're like at,
6.
yeah, at least 6, like maybe even more than that.
Yeah, there has been a lot of people.
Winston says, "Who do you think is going to be in the neighbor house?" So I have my honest theory is that it is all of the wall yellers that have come into to the lot. That is my real theory. It's all of the wall yellers. They have their megaphones and they are yelling at the house guests all day. They aren't yelling spoilers because CBS wouldn't allow that, but I just think that they're yelling to contain them, and they're yelling over any potential future wall yellers.
So I think we're gonna see somebody like Mr. Pectacular or some past house guest that is not all-star material because they don't want somebody that's going to outshine them. But like maybe it's Paul, and Paul's just gonna yell, "Pissed! Friendship!"
Over and over and over.
Yeah,
We know for sure it's not Josh Martinez because he is doing the challenge.
yeah,
So we know it's not him because there have been some theories about pots and pans. Rachel Riley, she wanted to come in this house even being pregnant. So I would not be surprised at all if Rachel was next door um, yelling.
yeah. Like floaters, you're all floaters. Grab a life vest. Ryan51 says, I think it's going to be the jury house. Kat, our girl Kat, threw this out as a theory. I kind of like the idea of it, except, I think, yes, if Julie Chen Moonves had not told them that told Ian all about the committee alliance, then I would think that there's a possibility that this is the jury house and maybe there's going to be a battle back. But because she showed the goodbye message with Tyler telling him all about it, I don't think that we'll have a jury battle back. So I don't think that this is going to be the jury house. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it will be either. And honestly, I don't even know what they would have them say to
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be the jury house, even though I like to support Kat and her theories.
And her
I
conspiracies.
don't think that this is but I mean, who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll find out on Thursday. I mean, what an
And
interesting
what
week in
what the
episodes.
twist is.
What an interesting week in episodes when we'll have Zingbot on Wednesday's episode, and we'll have the loud, noisy, legendary Big Brother neighbor on Thursday's episode.
Yeah, so exciting.
All right,
See who it's gonna
so
be.
coming inside of the Big Brother house, we had a little fire in the kitchen.
Yeah, so things were literally lit in the BB house last night. So we get I think it might have been Kevin cooking. He's cooking some food on the stove, and then all of a sudden, flames burst out, and the feed's cut, and they come back pretty quickly later, and yeah, we had a small fire.
Oh my god! 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 Oh my god!
I don't know if Trish is frozen for
I
everybody
am.
else. Okay,
I'm frozen for everybody. It's not
okay.
just
Uh,
yeah.
well, you look beautiful.
I'm actually just holding my face like this and talking.
I'm so talented.
I'm
Uh,
a ventriloquist.
oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah, apparently when this fire broke out, Cody ran and grabbed the fire extinguisher, and he was reading the directions, y'all. Okay, pull the pin, point at the fire. And while he's reading the directions, trying to figure out how to work a fire extinguisher, Memphis jumped in and saved the house from burning down. Not gonna lie. If it would have just burned down, it probably wouldn't have been the worst thing.
Yeah. What a interesting piece to this house, catch this fire happening. It's just a
A
tell all
metaphor.
for the
Yeah, it's a
2020,
metaphor for the whole season. Like,
the
let's
whole
just
year.
burn this mother down. If
I love Frozen. My face just keeps changing. Eventually,
yes.
it'll get caught up. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, now you're talking real fast. Here it goes. Oh
This
my
is what
gosh.
happens,
Okay.
y'all, when we do early morning shows. Like, our computers aren't awake. We're not awake. You're not awake. It's fine. It's fine.
At least you look cute frozen like that mid laugh. I would get frozen like this. And now I can't hear your voice. So,
Everything's
oh
fine.
no. Oh no. Now I can't hear your voice. Are you there?
I couldn't hear yours either.
Oh
Yeah.
no. Okay. Well,
All right.
here we go. Let's move on. All right, so after the veto ceremony, we do get more talks about who voted for Ian. Y'all, this is still an ongoing issue in the House, and they're trying to figure it out. And yeah, so tell us about that, Trisha. Hello, Trisha. Patricia, are you there? Okay, guys. So I don't know what's happened to Trisha. She's screwed up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now. And not now. Okay, so let's talk about these votes for Ian. So DaVonne has a conversation with Nicole, and she tells her like, "Hey, how should we spend the week? Because I know that I'm going home, and I just want it to be fun." And Nicole's like, "Well, you're not going to campaign," and she's like, "Well, I mean, no, I'm not going to campaign to the guys because they obviously are working together. It's their fault that I'm in this situation. So I'm not going to give them the satisfaction of campaigning to them. So I'm not going to talk to Tyler. I'm not going to talk to Cody. I'm not going to talk to Enzo. And you know what? I'm probably not going to even talk to David either. But I may holler at that girl Christmas just for a small second. So this is what DaVonne plans to do.
I'm back. Can you hear me and see me?
Yes, I
Yes.
can.
All right. Okay. Sorry, y'all. Technology. Um. Okay. Well, I'm catching up. What topic are you on?
Well, it says votes for Ian, but we're talking about Nicole and DaVonne's conversation and how, I'm not going to campaign to them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Campaign to the guys because they made fun of the other people who were campaigning.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I'm caught up now.
all right. So, anyways,
Good times.
the struggle, the
Well, let's
struggle's
talk.
real, y'all.
Okay. All right. Well, there's no way to segue because I cut out, so I'll just hop in on the votes for Ian since that's our tagline. That's up. Um, so the votes for Ian, y'all. We've talked all week about how this has caused pure chaos in the house, and DaVonne is believing Nicole that she is the vote that decided to keep Ian.
Yeah.
Even though David has said, like, it wasn't me, it wasn't me. I mean, I definitely still voted right. And Kevin's been like, but DaVonne, what if? Well, we get another conversation with Kevin and DaVonne, and he's like, look, I've been thinking on this. And what if it was Nicole? And she, is really close with Danny. And Danny didn't want to break the tie because if she were to break the tie, she was going to keep Tyler.
Yeah.
So, what if that was it and Nicole just put on this front this whole time? And
DaVonne's
David
my.
is yeah.
Mm-mm. No, she didn't do that.
Yeah, she's like, that wouldn't happen.
Mm-mm.
That's not a thing.
No. And Kevin is like, "Are you sure? Because I think that might have happened." DaVonne's like, "Well, you know what? I'm gonna go talk to Nicole. I'm gonna give her one last chance to tell me the truth."
Yeah, and Kevin also tells DaVonne that Danny, don't forget, DaVonne, Danny was begging us not to vote out Tyler last week.
Yeah.
So remember that too.
Yeah.
That
Keep that in mind.
probably Danny talked to Nicole and convinced her to go ahead and break the tie so she didn't have to do it publicly.
Yeah. For sure.
And this all goes back to if that veto thing would have happened where they kicked the noms out, Tyler and Ian, and they had this conversation, or well, it would have been Tyler and Kevin at the time. If Tyler and Kevin got kicked out of the conversation, then this whole thing that would have been so telling right there. Like if they kicked them out and said,
Yeah.
"Look, DaVonne, like don't use the power of veto.
We'll vote out Kevin. I mean, we'll vote out Tyler.
There's no need for you to do this." That would have been so telling because then DaVonne would have known this was all a lie.
Right. Yeah. And I like this comment from Ed. Why does this matter so much? How does it ultimately change anything? The committee will be majority jury, so who cares? Yeah, the only people that this really matters to, like the rest of the house has gone about their business, but Kevin, DaVonne, Nicole, and Danny are still wrapped up in this. And there's nothing Nicole can do now because she has had the opportunities to tell Day and she's passed them up. So, you
Yeah.
know, she's just going to have
Nicole
to write this one off.
DaVonne goes straight to Nicole after this conversation with Kevin, and she says to Nicole, um, "Look, I know I'm on my way out the door, so you might as well just tell me if the vote was you. Like, was it you? Because I don't want to look stupid to David. Like, I'm dragging him, and I don't
Yeah.
want to be dragging him if he wasn't actually the vote." And Nicole, does she fess up?
No, she's like, I don't want you to do that either. Like, is that what you're doing? Are you making David look stupid? Are you talking bad about David? And DaVonne's like, yeah, like that's what I'm doing. And she's like, nope, I definitely kept Ian.
Yeah. And then DaVonne leaves the room, and Nicole talks to the cameras, and she's like, I just got to figure out the right time to tell her.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell her before she leaves. I just got to find the right opportunity. Homegirl, you missed it. That was your opportunity. Like,
Get a golden ticket to tell her
yeah,
right there, and you didn't tell her.
yeah, you passed it up, and I don't think you're gonna get a better opportunity. And she's going to be super mad at you.
She's going to be pissed. Well, so
Yeah,
after this happens, Nicole does have a conversation with Danny, and she's like, needing some reassurance, I guess. And she's like,
yeah,
is this actually like a good game move, or like should I tell her? Like I feel like I need to tell her. And
yeah,
Danny's like, no, this is a good game move. And
yeah.
Nicole's like, well, maybe at first it was, but now it doesn't seem like it is. No one's gonna respect this.
Yeah, like
And
nobody. And Danny's like, "Are you talking about people in the house or out of the house?" And Nicole's like, "Both." Danny's like, "Oh no, everybody is going to be totally fine with this."
Nicole thinks that this is gonna be made out to be personal and not a game move. And
Mhm.
she's not totally wrong. It will be just
Right.
because I understand that it was a game move at the beginning. I get that.
Yeah.
I can respect this as a game move.
Yeah.
The problem is that now DaVonne has drugged David and
Yeah.
the extent that it's been taken to. So it will become personal at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, DaVonne might could have forgiven it like in time if she would have immediately after the vote been like, "I'm sorry, but I couldn't keep Ian. Like it wasn't best for my game." DaVonne would have been pissed, but she would have eventually gotten over it. And, I don't think it would have necessarily made her bitter towards Nicole. But the fact that on multiple occasions she has point blank asked her about this vote and she's lied about it, it's done. So This relationship is never ever going to recover. And if Nicole does make it to the final two, she will not have DaVonne's vote.
Yeah,
And
so
she's
they
probably not going to have Kevin or David's either. So
oh, for sure.
that's where this matters still.
Yeah, and so Danny and Nicole have a conversation about how they'll tell her, and they also talk about putting it in their goodbye messages.
Yeah.
So so far, DaVonne's goodbye messages are looking like Ian
Oof.
was the vote. I mean, Nicole was the vote for Ian.
Yeah.
Nicole was the vote for Ian. Nicole was the vote for Ian. That's what all of her goodbye messages are going to
Yeah.
say at
So
this point.
everybody's going to be spilling the tea to her in her goodbye messages, but you can't do a whole lot with that info out of the house. You needed it while you were in there.
Yeah.
So,
And honestly, like if Nicole doesn't confess this in her goodbye message, it's going to look really bad because everyone else is going to confess it to DaVonne in the goodbye
yeah.
message.
Yeah. So Nicole needs to do it before. She needs to tell her so that um, the damage is already done, but
Ed says Day's not going to the wedding after this. I'm sure Day is still invited to the wedding, but she's probably respectfully declining.
yeah, I'm gonna pass on that one.
Ugh.
All right, so let's move on.
Yeah, so we move on to have some conversation about the eviction plan with, well, Nicole and Danny's eviction plan.
Yeah, so Nicole asked Danny, like, what is the plan? And Danny says, well, DaVonne is going. There's no way around it. There's nothing we can do. And Nicole talks about, hey, I want to make sure that DaVonne doesn't call out David on Thursday because that's going to look really, really bad if she does. And Nicole said she would stand up and say, it was me. I did it. I can't handle it anymore. Like,
And I could just see this now. Like, um, so they were at the eviction, and we get to the speeches, and we're live, and DaVonne is like, and David, like, you screwed me over. I trusted you. Da 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 da. And Nicole just is like, nope, nope, abort
I
mission.
can't
It was
handle it
me.
anymore. It was
It
me.
was me. And sits
Like,
back
this
down.
would be the worst thing that she could do. Like, you've had all of these great opportunities to tell her, like, what. She's not going to do that, though. So,
Yeah,
um,
and like Nicole is so paranoid. There's a comment over here about how paranoid she is. She's so
yeah.
paranoid. She is so paranoid. Like if DaVonne and David are even in the same room, she's like, are they talking about it? Are they talking
Yes, they
about me?
probably are.
Do they know? Like she's so freaking paranoid. But luckily David and DaVonne aren't talking very much because DaVonne is not happy with David because of
Yeah.
this situation. And now in the it's not just because of this, but it's because like she feels like everything David says is a lie. Like she
Yeah.
trusts him absolutely zero.
0.
So she's like, there's no point in talking to him,
Yeah.
and it
Ed,
sucks.
Ed also brings up, okay, Nicole only needs 5 jury votes, all committee members. So, yes, if Nicole were to get to the end with someone outside of the committee, which after this week, there's only 3 people left in the House that aren't in the committee, she would only
After this
need
week,
the
there's only 3 people left in the committee. To be honest.
right, that too. But if she's sitting, if Nicole can make it to the end, she most likely will be there with somebody else in the committee because of just the sheer numbers of it. So, if they split the committee's votes, then you are going to need Days and Ian's and Kevin's and David's. So this is where it can come back to bite her in the butt, possibly, if she gets
Yeah,
there. If she gets
yeah,
there, who's she sitting next to? All of those hypotheticals.
yeah. All of the variables will make a difference, and like we said yesterday, will a winner win again? And it does really depend on what they did in those final weeks and who they're sitting next to.
Right. And if it's a bitter jury in any way. So,
Yeah. I
um,
mean, we've seen Day in the jury house before, and she speaks really well. She could really poison this jury.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so another thing that is just dangling over this house is the veto picking ceremony. So, in the veto picking ceremony, we talked about how, Danny I mean, sorry. Um, the 2 nominees, DaVonne and Kevin, both picked house guest choice out of the drawing box. So
Yeah.
when they do get house guest choice, they do not choose David, they choose Danny and Nicole. And this is very telling to all of the house, but especially to David because he's like, they do not trust me. And like, this is his first sign of like, wow, this is real. So we
Yeah.
see another conversation with Kevin and Kevin and David
David.
as they're sitting outside, and Kevin's like, David tells Kevin, um, he's like, that veto situation was very telling. He was like, neither of y'all picked me to play with y'all, and Kevin's like, well, I didn't pick you because you, I didn't think that you would be able to win, and David's like, right, but the choice is guaranteed that one of the three of them being,
Kevin, David.
right, would leave this week, whereas it could have been, the other way around.
Yeah, like if y'all would have picked me and I won, I could have saved one of y'all, and
Two of
then
us at least would have been safe.
two of us would have been safe, and who knows, like whoever they put up, we might have been able to get them voted out, and all three of us might have been able to stay. But because no one chose me, it was guaranteed one of us is leaving. And Kevin's just like, yeah, well, I don't know why DaVonne didn't choose you, but I didn't think that I could beat you. And
Yeah, and Kevin feels like he needed to take this into his own hands. So,
yeah.
and then David's like, or you just didn't trust me.
Ding ding ding. We have a winner.
Yeah, yeah, and they also in this conversation talk about Kevin's like, DaVonne told me that you're voting for her no matter what. Like you're voting to keep her no matter what. And he was like, I would just really love if you voted to keep me. It would just make me feel better.
Yeah.
And David's like, I just can't do that. He was like, no matter what she says, like I can't vote her out. I cannot
Yeah.
vote for her.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I kind of hope David sticks up. I mean, let's be honest. David is not. He's on everyone's radar for some reason to go home, even though he's like zero threat. I think him throwing a one to what 8 vote, 7
Yeah.
vote. I don't know what the
1-7. Yeah.
1 to 7
There's
vote.
7
It'll be
people
six.
voting.
Is there 7
Yeah.
people voting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
7
Okay.
people. So 6-1.
So 6 to 1 vote. I think it will be interesting. I think that would be okay. Like, it just wouldn't be as big of a deal as if, like, one other person were to do it, to be
Well,
honest.
I mean, who cares at this point? What are they going to do? Target you? They already are anyways. So,
Right. Yeah. So I think I would like if Kevin voted for DaVonne to stay.
David.
That's what
Yeah.
David, yeah.
David voted for DaVonne to stay.
I was like, no, I don't want Kevin to vote for David to stay.
Oh, yeah, it is early. It's really not even that early. It's 9 o'clock, but it feels really early.
It's really early
It,
for me.
it,
It's
it
really
feels like
early
it's
for me
like
to be
5.
talking this much.
Yeah, there we go. Um,
Some
all
more.
right, so let's talk about their campaigns, Kevin and Days. So, DaVonne asked Kevin, like, hey, have you been having any conversations with people? And Kevin's like, not really, not any good ones because they, like ask me, hey, like, what will you do if you stay? And he says, I don't have anything ready. So when they ask me, I'm just like, I don't really have anything. I'm going to have to sleep on it, think about what I want to say. At this point, I think they're just going to tell us whatever we want to hear, and it's kind of pointless. And he's exactly right because whatever they decide to do, like whatever their campaigns don't matter. The decision's already been made. So unless Kevin says too much and manages to screw it up, it doesn't matter what his campaign is. They're going to keep him.
Yeah. And I'm glad that 1 second. I got a little message pop up. So anyways, I'm glad that Kevin has this insight and sees this that
Yeah.
they're really I don't think it would benefit him at all to campaign or show his cards because that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to say, "Well, what would you do next week when if you won HOH? Or what would you do in the double eviction if you were to win HOH?" And he's going to have to show his cards at that point or say what they want to hear, and he probably honestly doesn't really know what they want to hear. Like what
Yeah,
is he going to say? I would put
I
up
would just
David
be
and
I would say, look, I really want to work with you. So if I win HOH, I'm going to talk to you and, you can kind of help me decide. Like, it'll be our HOH. And that's what I would say to every damn person.
yeah,
Like,
for sure. But Kevin's doing the right thing by laying low, and we kind of talked about earlier DaVonne's campaign. She isn't really wanting to campaign because not only, you know, I guess she doesn't want to show her cards, but she also doesn't want to campaign to the guys because they have made fun of people in the past for campaigning.
yeah.
So
So,
so that's kind of burned her, and she's seen it happen, heard it happen, and she is not interested in being made fun of.
yeah, she's like, I'm not going to campaign to Tyler. I'm not going to campaign to Cody. I'm not going to campaign to Enzo. Not gonna talk to David. I may say something to Christmas, but maybe not. And so she's just kind of banking on having Nicole, Danny's, and David's votes. But she still needs one more. And so she says she's not giving up, but she's got to find a fourth vote, which, like it's not completely out of the realm of possibility if DaVonne did campaign. I mean, I don't know which one she could flip. Like maybe Enzo might would be the most logical one to try to campaign to because we know that Enzo and Bailey did have a good relationship, and maybe she could play off of that. But yeah, it's not
Yeah,
looking good
or
for her.
DaVonne could go with the plan of attack of poisoning the committee and saying, "Look, y'all, Danny and Nicole have been telling me everything, and this is what I know." And
Yeah,
at that point, she could say, "Look, I'll
but
continue to
she
be
can't.
involved."
She can't campaign and lose Danny's vote.
But
So
they don't have to know that this happened.
yeah,
Like, she could say, "Look, I'll continue to be a mole for you guys with them. I'll target them. That way you don't have to get any blood on your hands."
yeah,
I mean, I'm just throwing out a point of attack.
yeah, yeah. But she's got to find a way to get a fourth vote. So
So, it's not gonna
not
happen,
looking good.
though. It's not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
We don't
But
wanna get anyone's hopes up, if you're watching this and thinking, "Oh, well, Trisha and Kylie
she
said." Yeah, no,
got three. She only needs one.
we're being optimistic. We're giving a plan of attack, but DaVonne's definitely going this week. There's
Yeah.
no if, and, or but about it. Um, so let's talk a little bit about the committee's plan.
All
So
right.
Christmas
So
talks to Memphis, and they're talking about future plans. So beyond the HOH this week, beyond the eviction this week, she asked Memphis, "What are we going to do if David wins HOH?" And Memphis said, "Well, we would try to get David to nominate Kevin next to Danny or Nicole."
yeah.
But Memphis is smart about this, and he tells this to Christmas, but he's like, "But I'm not telling this to David just yet. We'll tell David if he becomes HOH, but I'm not telling him right this
Right.
second."
Yeah, that's really smart. I would not tell David anything, even though I do think he is semi trustworthy. Um, he has the the reputation in the house of not being, so I wouldn't tell him either. And we know that he doesn't really necessarily like Memphis, so that's pretty good plan there. But Christmas is like, I can talk to him and I can just drop some hints so that he's able to put it together. And so Christmas goes to have a conversation with David, and she kind of talks to him a bit like Memphis does, kind of like he's a 5-year-old, and like, okay, David, you see what's happening here, right? And she, really lays it out like he's a small child. Okay, dum dum.
Uh,
Let me tell you what you need to do.
I hate these people.
Mhm.
Yeah, so she has a conversation with David and she's like, think about it, David. Who didn't DaVonne call out today? Who didn't she say?
Yeah,
Those are the people that we need to go after. Referencing, of course, Nicole and Danny.
yeah. Like, hey, them, them
And
and
so
Kevin.
in this conversation, so Christmas is like ABC kindergartening this out. And so she's like, so who would you put up if you were to get HOH? And David's
Danny,
like,
Nicole, or
yeah. So
Christmas. Not Christmas, Danny or Nicole. These
and
are your
David says,
choices.
so David responds and he's like, I really do hope, and I'm going to be optimistic that David is just playing into this like he did with Memphis
Yeah,
because it will help him. So I'm going to go with David really does know what he's doing. Like, why would he go against her at this point? You never do that. That
right,
was not smart
exactly.
in any
You
game.
just tell them exactly what they want to hear. Yes,
So
that's what I
Christmas
would do.
says, all right, David, so who would you put up? And David's like, hmm, well, Danny did put me up on the block.
Tried to, but
Tried
I
to,
had my
did try to take a
power.
shot at me. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, so then she's like, okay, yeah. So we
Yes,
definitely need to
one.
target Danny and Nicole.
Yeah. And she's like, so if you will do that and you will be loyal to me, then in my goodbye message to DaVonne, I'm going to tell her that it wasn't you that voted out Ian. And I'm going to do that for you. And I will keep us safe till the top 8. How's that for a deal? Y'all, this eviction's already set in stone. So there's going to be 9 people left in the house. I'll keep you safe till the top 8. You 1 week? What? This is the crappiest deal ever. She's presenting this to him on a silver platter like, look at how enticing this is. I'll keep you safe for 1 week.
And I'll tell DaVonne about Nicole.
Yeah. So,
So good. This is so good. And so she's like, I'll prove that to show that I'm loyal to you, David. I'll do that to prove my
yeah.
loyalty to you.
But
She's like,
you got to make sure that you Danny, Nicole, understand? And David's like, okay, let's ride. Ride or dies right here till top 8, baby.
here we go. Final 8. Here we come.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh. What a
I
mess. Dumpster
Ed
fire, y'all.
Ed says, wait, David doesn't mention Memphis. He's not gonna mention. Okay, so
You better not.
yeah,
You better not.
do not. And he doesn't want to do that on his HOH. Okay, here's the true game that I think David plays, and David does play the dumb game. Whether he's actually dumb or playing the dumb game, whatever, it sometimes works for him. And but I also think he knows. I knows he knows that going against the person that he talks to that's presenting an idea to him isn't a good idea. Like it doesn't
Yeah,
take a rocket scientist to figure that out. So I don't think he's not ever gonna say a name that someone else hasn't already mentioned first.
right. That's very, very smart gameplay, though. Like, yes, let's just go with that. Whatever you want. Hmm.
You
Yeah,
say the name? Okay. Yeah, that sounds
that's
good. I'll do
that
that.
sounds good to me. I'll pick that one.
Yeah. So
So
well it would be so good to get a David HOH next week, but
I don't
I
know if
don't
it would be. I don't know. And honestly, at this point in time, I don't even know who I want to win. Like, it's such a mess, y'all. Like, like I kind of want Danny to get HOH again, but then I kind of want I mean, ultimately I want Kevin to get it because he's the one that would mix things up the most, but like I don't really like I don't want David to win because he's terrible. I don't like Memphis. I don't like Nicole. I don't like Christmas. Um, Tyler pissed me off by trying to quit. Cody's pissed me off because of the pregame alliances. So I, I don't like any of these people, y'all. It's so terrible. I just want Enzo or Kevin to win the whole thing. That's it.
I just want that fire on the stove to like
Burn it
win.
down. Just
Just
burn it down.
I escape safely. I don't want anyone to be harmed, but I definitely want this season to be over.
Yeah.
Sadly.
It's so hard to cheer for any of these people. So
I'm cheering for
yikes.
whatever gets David and Kevin to the end because it's so
Wow.
unlikely, but I'm that's what I'm rooting for.
What a mess.
All right. So, if Day stays, there's some talk about what will happen. DaVonne talks about what she would do if she were to stay in the house. And she says that this is why really we want DaVonne to stay in the house because she has
Yeah.
our favorite plan. She says she's going to nominate Cody and Tyler next to each other. And
Boom, 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 boom.
Kevin's like, well, what about Cody and Memphis? And Davon's like, well, Tyler could use the veto on Cody if he were to win it, so we got to put them up next to each other.
Yeah.
So,
Like, Kevin,
yes.
if you win, this is what you have to do. She needs to break it down Christmas style.
Yeah.
Cody, Tyler.
These
This
are
is
your two targets.
these are your two targets. You put them up together. One of them will have to go home or at least be on the block to go home. And then you can put up Memphis or Christmas or whoever next to one of them. Those four names are the only four names you need to consider. And so she's laying it out there for him. So
Yeah. And in this conversation, she really talks about this again, just depicts her loyalty to Danny and Nicole. And she's telling Kevin that those those two really have to go up because they're going after Danny, David, and Nicole.
yeah,
So he needs to go after them. Um, and she also says, well, maybe Enzo, keep him in mind too, because Enzo, Cody, Tyler, that triangle needs to
yeah.
be attacked.
Triple threat.
So yeah, so she's really not even worried about Memphis, which again just shows his great gameplay because he has won 2 HOHs and still really isn't a target by anybody except
Right.
Kevin, I guess.
Yeah. And maybe David if David wins.
Yeah. So hopefully Kevin wins the HOH this week. Yeah.
Execute DaVonne's plan.
Yes, not your own, Kevin.
Yeah.
Do not. Don't do it. Wall yellers, unite. Get at Kevin.
Yeah. Just gosh, it's got to be Kevin. He's got to win HOH.
Yeah. To add to DaVonne's thoughts on the Danny Nicole situation, she is very confident that there is an all guys alliance that consists of Cody, Enzo, Tyler, and she doesn't say Memphis, but I assume she associates Memphis with this group since he's the HOH. I don't
And
know.
he doesn't ever go after them.
Yeah, so I'm gonna include Memphis, even though she doesn't say Memphis. But so she thinks that there's this all guys alliance, and so I just want to throw this out there, like she's having these conversations because when she's talking about saving Nicole and Danny and doing all this and da 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 da, she has this guys alliance in her head. She doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily have the committee in her head, so
Yeah,
she is
she
going to these.
doesn't know the girls.
Yeah. And so she's going to these people, like she doesn't mention Christmas or anything like that. And she's going and she's wanting to save them because of the guys alliance running the house.
Yeah.
So
A little bit of a bad read there because she's blind. She's blind to them. So, yeah, that's what's going on in the house, guys. Just another day.
just another day of boredom. I was
Another
watching the
day
feed.
of
I was watching the feed yesterday, and my husband walks in and he's like, "How do you watch this and even have things to talk about?"
Well, we basically just say the same things again and
We're
again.
just we're just a broken record every single day. But what changes is you guys comment. So we will get to your comments. We're going to do our tweet of the day, and then we're going to slide through the comments. So if you have any questions or thoughts that you want us to touch on, then be sure to drop us a comment. But first, let's do our tweet of the day.
I think it's been a whole week since we have featured James Ryan, and so we're going to have to give him this. It is this picture of Christmas, and she's creeping over this little wall here, and it says, caption this, and James captions it with, ma'am, put your hands where I can see them and step away from the vehicle. And that's the perfect caption, so you win. You win the caption contest, you win tweet of the day, you win Twitter. So, congratulations, James.
Yeah, even though James probably is no longer alive after he posted on Instagram that he has lost weight throughout his wife's pregnancy because she has definitely murdered him.
Yeah, absolutely. That's grounds for murdering.
So rest in peace, James. It's great knowing you. Glad we had you on our show before you passed at the hands of your wife.
Yeah, that we're gonna give her full permission to do that to you.
All right. So one comment I wanted to touch on. Let's see. Where is it? It was from Dead Pop. Dead Pop, where's your comment? It was at the beginning.
Which one was
He,
it?
he said not to change the subject, but can you? Oh, here it is. Not
Yeah.
changing the subject, but please do some more challenge stuff. And we do have some challenge stuff on the agenda. We will be doing our draft. We're targeting doing this Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday, so a
Yeah,
week
a
from
week from
today
today.
at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So once we have locked in guests and locked in that time, we will put some blasts out on our social media of confirming the time so that everyone can join us live. So be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at RealiTEA_TRHS. That's RealiTEA_TRHS so that you'll get the update of when we go live regarding that challenge. We're going to do it at nighttime because we're going to have some
That's
fun.
crazy,
We're going to have
y'all.
some drinks. We're going to have lots of talks. And that way all of you are able to join us and you're not in class or at
Yeah.
work. So
We're gonna have a few special guests with us, and yeah,
we're going to do a
hopefully it's
fun
just
little
a good time.
draft where we'll talk about the cast a little more, get some different takes on the cast. So we're going to do a fun little snake draft. So yeah, we will have some challenge stuff coming up. And when the challenge season gets here, we will be doing these same type of episodes. Obviously, we don't get feeds, but we'll be doing recap shows. So,
So that'll be exciting.
all of that coming down the pipe. What else? Let's see. Any other comments?
Yeah, I like this one from Danny. Yeah, I want them all to lose.
Agreed.
Samesies. Same.
At this
All
point,
of them.
I think we're all just rooting for David to win because he's the only one who's not totally crazy or an
I mean,
a-hole.
I
I
guess
think it would just be
maybe
the icing on the All-Star Big Brother 22 2020 cake if David won this season.
fitting. Fitting. But yeah, no, I don't even know, y'all. Like, maybe I want Enzo to win. Every eviction it changes. Like, hey, I wanted Janelle to win. Then I wanted Kaser to win. Then I wanted Bailey to win. Then Ian, DaVonne. Every week it changes, and
And now we're just really left with nobody.
nobody. So it doesn't
I
even matter.
I don't know if we talked about this or put it on our social media, but um Danny does have a lot of perception in the house, and she's like, "This season sucks. America hates us. She hates the committee. I mean, America
Yeah.
hates the committee." And she's talking to Nicole about this, and she's like, "In my season, the reason that it was so like I was in the minority alliance, and it was so good that I got to the end because I was in the minority, and
Yeah.
she's like, "People root for the underdog." She's like, "I root for the underdog." And here we are just picking off all of the underdogs one by one.
Yeah.
So she does have some perception, and,
Yeah. She knows, like, this season sucks.
so at least there's that. At least they're not just, like, totally blind. Like, I feel like Christmas has 0 self-awareness and has no idea that this season sucks as bad as it does, and she just thinks she's awesome.
Yeah. And she thinks she's going to take Julie Chen Moonvez's place as the next host of Big Brother. I'm going to go out on a limb and say 0% chance of that.
Yeah.
You're the worst.
Yeah. There's, like there's not even many people I could think of that would be like, Julie Chen Moonves is top tier when it comes to hosting Big Brother. Um, is it even there's, like, no one even in her circle, like, not even close.
Yeah, like, no, sorry. Sorry, Christmas. It's not going to be you. All right, what about this one?
So, again, I do not know how to pronounce this name, so
Tione.
please give me the phonetics in the comments so that I do not repeat your name wrong all the time. But anyways, it says, both feel do you both feel Ian's performance here showed he's not as good at the game as he thinks? He did still win. He did still win, don't get me wrong, but this season I just saw nothing.
Nothing. He literally did nothing. So,
He
does
made a
this
mistake
make
by aligning with Nicole Franzel.
Ian's stock drop as a Big Brother winner? I think that he's like a middle of the road winner. I mean, he obviously beat the bet. He had the best win in terms of who he beat, but I just yeah, I think he's middle of the road. He's not bottom tier, but he's definitely not top tier
Yeah,
because this
he's
season just
silver level
yeah.
winner.
Yeah.
And I don't think it changed his level necessarily. It definitely does make me think like that was a one-time performance. He was not obviously definitely not able to pull that out again, but I don't feel like he really I don't know. He just made a mistake aligning with Nicole. That was his mistake.
Right. And I mean, I feel like so much of it was stacked against everybody coming in anyways because of the pregame alliances. And there's not been really anybody that's been able to break through that. I mean, we saw Janelle and Kaser fight like hell. Tione. Thank
Peony,
you.
okay. Thanks.
I was semi-close. Um, so
Yeah. We love Ian, and honestly, Ian gave such a good, classy speech on his when he left and walked out those doors, and in his conversations with Julie. I think it really shows that Ian is a stand-up guy,
yeah.
and he really has a lot of respect for the game.
Yeah. Yes, Dead Pop, hands down, Janelle, the next host of Big Brother. That would be
She
amazing. I
would
think
rip
it's
everyone to shreds as they walk through that
yeah.
door. Like,
Yeah,
could you
they'd come out
imagine
and she'd be
when
like,
Jack walked out that door and Janelle was there? She would have sliced him and diced him with her tongue.
yeah, I
Matt
think we could all.
Matthew says, thoughts on Bailey. I love Bailey. I love that she came in and aligned with DaVonne, and they hadn't met before. She didn't have any pregame alliances, so I loved that. I loved
Yeah,
having
so
Bailey in the house.
yeah, going into this season, I was not a very big Bailey fan, but I think she really turned it around. I was impressed with her composure in the house, and so she really turned my perception of her around. What do you think?
Yeah, I've always been a Bailey fan. Like I mean, I'm here for the entertainment. I loved when she chewed out Tyler. Like I loved that.
Yeah,
I
that
loved
was
when she
crazy
went.
entertaining.
I love when she went off on the challenge on Casey. Like I love that we pretty much always know what Bailey's thinking. Now, when she came in this house, she was able to keep her cards a little closer to her chest and not show so much of that. But when Christmas tried to pull out that crazy side of her, and Bailey didn't give it to her, and she's like, "You're the one that needs to calm down. Not like I'm not like what are you
Yeah.
doing?" I loved that.
Yeah. Dawn says Ian had a little too much class for my taste. Yeah, it's always fun when we do get to see them pop off a little bit and give us a little sass on their way out the door. But Ian was very classy, and that is nice to see. Like I would hope that if I went on to Big Brother or Survivor, like that's the kind of person that I would be. But in reality, I would be,
You would be a
not.
salty bitch.
I would be
We already
salty.
know.
Like, whenever Tyson got voted out of Winners at War and he's like, "Who do I want to bequeath my fire tokens to?" It's like, "I'd rather swallow them." Like that would be me. Like, nope. I'm gonna throw these off into the ocean. I'm not giving them to anybody. Thank
But
you. So
JW coming at us with not Ian is okay, but DaVonne is the worst player I've ever seen. LOL. JW, what? Are you kidding me right now? Okay, this week, yes, she is not doing good because of not trusting David. That is a huge flaw. She is making huge mistakes. But prior to this, I think DaVonne has been doing everything she possibly can to stay in the house, and I feel like she's made all the right moves that she possibly could.
right. I think she has made some of the right moves, but some of her takes are really, really off. And that's unfortunate. But as a personality in the Big Brother house, literally there's nobody better.
She's gonna leave, and this whole season,
I mean,
we're at
like
like
if
the top of the poop level right now. We're about to be at the bottom where like the maggots are as soon as she leaves. That's where we're gonna be at because it's gonna be just shit.
oh my gosh, what an analogy! Down where the maggots are. Oh my. Um
I
wow,
just need to get my point across.
I completely lost my train of thought with that one.
JW follows up with she has
There
no
you have
gut
it, guys.
instinct, hasn't been able to read anything. I can't think back to earlier, but she did have some good reads. Kylie probably remembers because she has a memory of an elephant. This week, though, again, her reads are absolutely terrible.
Terrible. Crap. Um, Speaking of Bay and Ty's fight in 20, was Bailey's mouth bleeding when she was yelling at Ty? Because it definitely looked like it. Yeah, I think she probably like bit her cheek or her tongue, and so it did look like she was like foaming blood from the mouth. But
Yeah. And she explained that earlier this season, that she had just had a miscarriage in the house and Swaggy was not there and she was having to deal with this all by herself. Obviously, a very traumatic experience, but also a lot of hormone changes. So that caused her to very much,
snap.
react in that moment.
Yeah.
Even
So
though the things Tyler was saying about her, I still think her bloody mouth was warranted regardless.
yeah, it was very, very good television. So
We love you, Bailey Dayton.
yes.
Um, Uncle John says, how in the hell do I miss the noon show, but I make it to the 9 a.m. show? That's what I'm wondering, John. Like, I could barely make it to this show.
Yeah, so props for being here for the early one and missing all the lunchtime ones.
Danny said, I thought she bit Ty
Oh my.
like a vampire. We got some Edward Cullen up in this house. Yes, she had just met Swaggy, but they still had intercourse.
There you go, guys. There you have it. The
Yeah,
birds and the
there's the
bees here
there's the
on
tea.
Spilling the Reality.
All right, well, that's all we have today. I don't know that there's a good point to end here, but That's all we have
Sounds good.
today. We are at our hour, so don't forget to follow us on social media on Instagram and Twitter at reality_TRHS. We'll be doing more challenge stuff and other shows as they come up and Big Brother fizzles out. Um, so don't forget to follow us. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up, and drop a comment on your thoughts. Doing this will allow you to get notifications every time we go live. So, everyone, have a great day. Anything else, Kylie?
Yep, that's it.
All right, y'all. Thanks for joining us live. Sponsored by Diet Dr. Pepper. Uh, so thanks for joining us live today and giving us all of your comments. And if you were not able to join us live, be sure to drop us some comments below, and we'll be sure to address those on our show tomorrow. Bye,
All right. Bye,
guys.
guys.
Cheers.